How's it going, everyone? As always, God bless you and thank you for being here. I'm Gage and this is Candy Coral Aquatics. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you have just found the only place you ever need to be to have all of your reefing questions answered. If you ever have comments or you want me to make a video about a specific thing, just go ahead and drop it down below and I will always respond. So today's video is going to be on clownfish. I've had these guys in my tank for a while now and I've yet to make a video on them. So let's go ahead and do that. So clownfish are probably the number one thing that is responsible for bringing more people into this hobby than anything else. Now, as far as fish in general, they are just the tip of the iceberg, but everybody knows about clownfish. Like, even if you don't know anything about reef tanks, you know what a clownfish is. So let's talk about their care requirements. So clownfish are like super easy to care for. They're extremely hardy, especially all the ones that we have in the hobby today. Most of them are all tank raised and bred, so they're extremely hardy, which means they're really adept to conditions that are found in home aquariums. So a lot of times, if something in the tank goes wrong and fish start dying, these guys will usually survive. I mean, they're pretty much bulletproof, which makes them an excellent beginner's fish. I will never have a saltwater tank that does not have clownfish in it. Their temperament is peaceful, however, they can get pretty territorial. I know right now if I get in the tank and start moving things around, and if I get too close to an area the female doesn't want me in, she will try to like peck at me and or bite me. It doesn't really hurt, it more startles me than anything, so I just kind of let it go and I just shoo her away and I'm like, get out of here. They're extremely aggressive eaters, which is good because that means they'll pretty much eat anything that you put in front of them. I feed mine Formula 1 flakes, and believe it or not, I still have yet to get it on camera. The black midnight clown will do like in-water acrobatics. It is the funniest thing. He will do backflips and spins, and he looks like a little kamikaze pilot. It's the weirdest little thing. Whenever I put food in the water, he just gets so excited. But they're really aggressive eaters, which is great for you guys because that means you can feed them a multitude of different things, and more than likely, they're going to accept it. So their diet is, they are omnivores, like they will eat either vegetation or meat. So the Formula 1 flakes are great, but you can also drop in like some mysis shrimp or some brine shrimp. Mine are kind of picky eaters. I've tried feeding them, brine and mysis before, and they weren't really too happy about it. They were kind of like, come on, man, give us back our flakes. That's really what we want. They are reef compatible and they are reef safe. Like, they're not going to bother any shrimp in the tank. They're not going to go after your snails, your crabs, and they're not going to hurt your coral. The only thing that they might do to coral is annoy it, depending on what they're trying to host. So yesterday I actually saw my female. The female is the snowflake clown. I actually saw my female yesterday rubbing up inside of my open brain corals, which suggested that she might be trying to host them. But it's not something that I see her do often, so I'm not really sure what was going on there. But they can sometimes aggravate corals if they're rubbing around or trying to host in them, so just be mindful of that. As far as the water conditions, it's really no different than anything else. You're going to want to keep your water temperature between 72 and 78 degrees. You're going to want to have a DKH of 8 to 12, which is your alkalinity. Your pH is going to be about 8 to 8.4, and your salinity can be 1.20 to 1.25. That would be just fine. Max is about 3 inches, so they will do well in a 10-gallon or larger tank. Honestly, I'd probably at least put them in a 20-gallon. They're pretty energetic. They like to swim around a lot. So I would probably go with a 20-gallon or larger. But if all you have is a 10, they would probably be pretty comfortable in there as long as they were the only fish in that tank. They can be, as I said before, a little bit aggressive because they are in the damsel family. So that being said, if you're gonna have a bunch of clownfish in the same tank, like sometimes I see people with just anemones in the tank, and they have like 20 or 30 clownfish in there, and it really is a really cool looking setup. You're gonna want to add all of them at the same time. Like, these guys have been in my tank and they've been established now for several weeks, so I would not add another clownfish or two to the tank, because what would happen is a dominant female would more than likely kill the other ones off. And we really just don't want that happening, okay? So if you're gonna have multiple clownfish, make sure that they're in like the same species. Like the morphs, which is, when I say morph, I'm talking about like the coloration, the patterning on them. That doesn't really make a difference as long as they're in the same species. Like Ocellaris with Ocellaris and whatever all the other species are. I don't know them offhand, but I wouldn't put like maroon clowns with like snowflake clowns or midnight clowns. Maroons tend to be the most aggressive out of the clownfish for whatever reason. They're just kind of mean. So just make sure that when you're pairing your clownfish up or when you're adding multiple clownfish to the same tank, just do a little bit of research and make sure they're kind of all in the same species. That way you're not just, creating hostility right off the bat. So I hope this video has been educational. I hope I was able to share a lot of good information with you, and I hope I've convinced you to go out and get yourself some clownfish. Out of all the clownfish I've owned, I have to admit, oh, look at him, he's doing some little swimmy, little backflippy side to sides right there. Out of all the clownfish that I've ever had, I have to admit, these guys are my favorite. They have got just boatloads of personality. I can feed them out of my hand. The little black one does all these crazy little zigzags and little backflips and stuff in the water. He's just a bolt of energy. They're a lot of fun, and they're going to bring you guys hours and years of enjoyment. So take care, guys, and God bless you. Goodbye.